Good day, my little robins, it's me Beth. Another week has passed, which means you get another video from, well, me here on this channel. And if you haven't already read the title, today I'm showcasing my top 10 albums of 2018. Pretty self-explanatory. Before we begin, if you want to support me and the channel, you can by clicking like to show me some love. You can click subscribe because, well, nothing's stopping you. Tap that bell to be notified of when I upload on this channel. Yes, I'm still wearing my blanket, don't judge me. Let's dive in. Coming in at number 10 is Knowing What You Know Now by Marmozets. This album was released towards the start of the year, and I'm surprised it made it onto my top 10 albums because when it first came out I wasn't a massive fan, I'm being honest, but I have reacted to the song Play on my channel and I do like their song Habits. There are a few good songs on this album, but for me the majority of the album was a little hit or miss. And I think the reason it made it on, because I did see Marmozets live earlier this year, and it was for this album tour, so they did play a lot of the songs, and I heard them live, and I was like, okay, they sound a lot better live than they do on the album, but I went back to the album and was like, it's not as bad as I first made it out to be. Coming in at number 9 is Black Flame by Bury Tomorrow. Some of you are probably thinking, Beth, why didn't you put this, album higher? I didn't. It's my number 9. Enough said. I do like Bury Tomorrow. I am a massive fan, and when I have watched some of their music videos, I think I've reacted to at least one of the songs off this album on my channel. Go search for it after you've watched this video. Bury Tomorrow are a band that consistently evolve with each new album, but the reason I couldn't put it higher on my list is because there were other albums I thought deserved to be a lot higher. Coming in at number 8 is Defy by Of Mice and Men. This was released, I believe, back in January, so this is one of the first albums I actually listened to in 2018. So there was a big chance it might not have made it onto my list because some of my other favourite bands were releasing albums. I've seen Of Mice and Men live twice this year, and both times I have been blown away by the songs on this album. I was really unsure when Austin left the band and Aaron took over the responsibilities of, singing both clean and the growls, but damn, he impressed me and I've got to give Of Mice and Men props. I have also reacted to a couple of songs off this album here on this channel if you want to go check them out, but yes, Of Mice and Men, Defy got my number 8 spot. Coming in at number 7 is I Loved You at Your Darkest by Behemoth. Now, this album was originally I was umming and ahhing whether or not it would make it onto my top 10 list, but then I went back and listened to the albums that I really liked this year, and Behemoth, damn, they released a massive album, and I cannot wait to see them live, next February in Manchester. For me, they're a band that, are a little hit and miss, some people like them, some people don't like them. I believe you have to be in a certain mood to like Behemoth, but this song had some beautifully crafted moments that had me, as a fan, sitting back and being like, damn, this band have been around a really long time, but they continue to surprise me, and yeah, who doesn't? I like Behemoth. This is my list. They made it onto it. Coming in at number 6 is Helix by Amaranthe. That's right, guys, Amaranthe made it onto my top albums of, 2018. If you've already watched my top 10 most played songs, you will know that 365, which was on this album, also made it onto, my most played songs. I have actually reacted to 365 and I believe Inferno? No. Countdown. I've reacted to 365 and Countdown on my channel. If you want to go check out the videos, just search Amaranthe. This is an album and a band as a whole I will say that I didn't get into until 2018. I've said this multiple times. I knew of this band, I've known about this band for years, but I've never sat down and actually listened to, a single album or their back catalogue, and it just so happened that they were releasing a new album in 2018, and after listening to their back catalogue, they have some good albums, but for me, Helix is one of the strongest symphonic power metal albums released in 2018. Although, disclaimer, there are some power metal symphonic albums higher on this list, but for me, Amaranthe are a band that I have said, if you've watched my other videos on them, they don't just stick to like symphonic power metal, They are constantly swapping up genres on each song, so for me this album there is a song for everybody. You might not be a fan of the band as a whole, but I'm pretty sure that everyone can listen to this album once and find one song they relate to. For me, I would say my favourite song off the album is a toss-up between Dream and 365. Go listen to them, I recommend it. Coming in at number 5 is Heart of the Hurricane by Beyond the Black. This should come as no surprise since, 2 of the songs on this album made it into my top 10 most played songs of 2018. But like I said in that video, it's because I probably listened to them a lot when I was writing my review for this album. I'm not going to go into too much detail into why this made it into my top albums. If you're interested in knowing my opinion on the album, then go check out the video on my channel. Just type in Beyond the Black and it will come up in the search box. But if you want like a little tidbit why it made it on, Beyond the Black are a band that continuously evolve, and they're a band that have gone through like so many changes over the years. Like, I am a massive fan, I've listened to their first 2 albums, but then they completely sacked off the band and Jennifer was the only remaining original member of the band, and so they brought in a whole new band for this album, and for me it's probably the most consistent and like gelled together piece of work Beyond the Black have put out. Beyond the Black, number 5, good on you. Coming in at number 4 is The Shadow Theory by Camelot. This should come as no surprise, I'm a massive Camelot fan, I have been for years. I've been following this band for years and I'm finally getting to see them live, I believe next March in 2019. I'm so excited because I cannot wait to hear some of my favourite songs performed live. Shadow Theory for me was a different Camelot album because in the past they've done a lot of concept albums, but the Shadow Theory, they kind of stepped away from being a full-on concept album. There was a story that was told between the music videos, but the whole album wasn't like a consistent story. Like, they decided to step away from, we are a concept album band. We're going to put out an album that's not fully concept, but has enough concept to appease old fans, but enough new sounds that will get a lot of new fans into the band. This is the album that I used to get a lot of my friends into Camelot, because some people just can't sit through a whole concept album. I love concept albums, but I'm so happy that Camelot, matured and decided to do something a little different this year. Coming in at number 3 is Misery by the Amity Affliction. I will pause for, shocked gasps that this album even made it into my top 10. And that's because I'll hold my hands up. When this album first came out, I did not like it. I was like, this does not sound like the Amity Affliction. It sounds like they've gone a little bit more mainstream because there was a lot of like there was a lot of synth thrown in, and it kind of felt a bit more upbeat and poppy compared to some of their other works. But I did see the band live, they played the songs live. Turns out they are heavy AF live, so I went back and listened to the album and went, okay, I have to look past like the upbeat like melodies and like rhythms they've gone for and actually sit down and read some of the lyrics for the songs, and okay. Amity Affliction, they're a band that constantly know how to do dark and depressing themes, and it kind of felt like on the Misery album they were like, right, we want to be dark and depressing, but we want to be upbeat about it. And they succeeded, hence why it made it onto, my top 3 albums of 2018. That's a challenge. Well done, Amity Affliction. Not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting that either, guys, so we're both surprised. Coming in at number 2 is The Silver Scream by Ice Nine Kills. I have reacted to so much Ice Nine Kills this year. I have reviewed this album. If you want to know my opinions, you can go and search for the video. I have a whole Ice Nine Kills playlist for you guys to check out if you like the band as much as I do. Now, this was originally my number 1 album of 2018, but I have a feeling some of you already know what my number 1 spot is, so this got relegated to number 2. Ice Nine Kills released a whole album based around, classic horror films. They are great at taking a concept and turning it into an amazing album. I love every song on this album. Just, see my reactions, go and watch my album review and figure out how much of an Ice Nine Kills fangirl I am. It was very hard to put this album like in the number 2 spot, but the number 1 spot is well deserved, so let's just move on to the number 1 spot. My number 1 album of 2018 is Holy Hell by Architects. This should come as no surprise. It is on a lot of people's top albums of 2018. This was a late release. This was a late bloomer. This came really late on in the year where I kind of already had my list decided, and then Architects threw out this masterpiece and I was like, well, you guys have already got my number 1 spot. Now I've got to rejig my top albums of 2018 list. Thank you very much. I have reviewed this album and I've actually reacted to, you know, some of the songs, like Hereafter, Royal Beggars. So if you want to know my opinion on certain songs or like the album as a whole, I have a whole Architects playlist for you guys to check out. I love you guys so much that I just decided, yeah, why not? Yeah, Architects, Holy Hell. It's a masterpiece. It is a visual, not visually, well, the music videos were like visually appealing and like stimulating, but then like the songs, there was something for everyone. It was an album made out of grief because tragically they did lose a band member, and like I said in my review, they could have easily split up, but they put all their heart and soul out for the world to see on this album, and they garnered so much respect, and I respect them so much more as a band, and I will continue supporting them and every single other band that made it onto my list. So there we have it, guys and girls of the internet. That was just my top 10 albums of 2018. In the comments below, tell me your favourite album of 2018. Do you agree with my list? Start a conversation. While down there, you can, if you want to support me and the channel, you can by clicking like to show me some love. You can click my face right here to subscribe to the channel because, well, nothing's stopping you and I do try and upload weekly. You can check out my last 2 videos or playlists right here depending on what mood I'm in when I'm editing this. Like my sign says, keep listening to good music. I'm Beth. Goodbye.